Here's a thought for you. As an executive, as a managing director, indeed business owner, do you suffer from decision fatigue? And you might not even realize that that's a thing. Because every day when you reflect back and maybe just take a thought in terms of the past week, have you been playing mental chess with your team, with your customers? Does it feel like the intensity of constantly always being the one that has to make the decisions? I guess the challenge here is, if you think now over the last week of the decisions that you've made, that you've felt that you've had to make because you are the default setting, and you have probably educated your team and your customers that you are the default setting. Of the decisions that you've made, how many of them have truly moved the needle? How many of them have actually had a positive impact in productivity, profitability? Now, the stark reality when you start to look back on those decisions that you've made is probably not many of them. Many of them may well have just facilitated your team or a customer to just get on and do what it is that they need to do. That actually they are probably more than capable of doing without your your intervention, without your need to tell them or offer them the support or answer the questions for them. As people, as humans, we are inherently lazy, looking for the easiest and least course of resistance. Now, one of the things that I had from my military days was a thing we used to call mission command. A mission command was simply a case of giving people enough information and freedom to determine a course of action, to make a choice, to make a decision, knowing that it was in line with the context of the business. If it's a customer, in the context of what it is that they're striving to achieve, rather than defaulting to the commander to make the decision. Now, the point here is, yes, there will become a point where, as a commander, as a business owner, executive, managing director, that there are decisions you need to make. But if you haven't set the parameters, if you haven't set the rules of the game in place in terms of what those, key decisions need to be, and often in business they are financially driven, then you're going to continue to be playing that mental chess each and every day. So here's an idea for you. As you go through the day and you're presented with the decisions that you've got to make, whether that comes from email or someone knocking on the door because you've got an open office policy or whatever the case may be, ask the question as to whether this decision can be delegated. Do I need to be the one that makes this decision? Don't fall into the trap of, look, I'll just answer it because it's quicker and it's easier. Because once you've done that a few times and you look over your day, you'll find that it isn't quicker, it isn't easier, and actually there's a reason why you're probably last to leave the office and first to leave, get in the office, because that's the only time that you can actually get your stuff done. So, as those questions come in, and aim to delegate at least 3. Let's start with 3. Aim to delegate at least 3 decisions to your team for them to get the answer. And I say your team, so even if a customer calls, delegate it to one of your team members to deal with. And stop playing mental chess, because you just get mental fatigue. Now, as an executive coach, that's absolutely one of the key factors that I have with those that I'm coaching, in terms of actually getting them to have that freedom of thought, that they can actually think at that strategic level that you would expect someone of that nature should be able to think, rather than being inundated with other people's decisions. Go and dive into that one and see what happens over the course of a week. Reflect then the difference between what's been and then actually a new process of delegating those decisions. Hope that's helpful.